This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Too, and how much of that really sunk in and how much of it didn't. So really encouraged so far for the guys' attitudes. It's been extraordinary, both in the meeting room or on the field. And then you go out you go out there and look at their effort, which is obviously, I can't speak highly enough of so far these last 2 days.
It seems like more of a veteran team. Does that help expedite any process in turning?
We have a lot of new guys here. We're obviously a lot of new coaches. So I think everybody is home with a rookie mindset. Whereas going to each day saying, you know what, I don't really know anything today, both coaches, players, staff, and I'm going to try and learn my best and try and work as hard as I can. Because when you have a new staff, new system, new culture, you're just trying to start from the ground up and put the right step forward every day.
Yesterday, Pastor Merle was talking about, he was asked about how you performed so far, and he said outside of coordinated offense, you also do a good job of kind of breaking off and working with other positioners, whether it's tight end or even offensive assistant and other roles throughout your career. Has that kind of helped you be knowledgeable about that?
Yeah, no question. I think you guys asked about this in the spring, but I think a benefit for any young coach is being able to coach any position. Speaking of myself, I know a lot of people in New England have this background as well, coaching on the other side of the football. I was blessed enough to do that in San Francisco and coach multiple positions as an offensive assistant, whether it's quarterbacks, working with the offensive line. So, as you're a young coach, you try and basically sink in everything, right? Take as much information as possible. So hopefully when that time as you grow older, look, I don't have all the answers right now. I'm still learning and still growing as well, just like everybody is in this building. But, I'm blessed enough to have done that in my career, and I think it's benefited me so far.
Do you think, I may be by myself on an island, but I always thought that Derek was a great athlete and should get outside the pocket a little bit more, not when he has to, but maybe just to keep teams, especially like the Chargers that have a great pass rush, off balance. They did it a couple years ago in Chicago, against Chicago when they were in London. A couple little naked blue, like roll out to the tight end safe stuff.
Yeah.
Get outside the tackle box so you can throw the ball away or slide if need be.
Yep.
I just think like a team like the Chargers, they zone in on that pocket, and that's been a tough team to deal with.
Yeah, I think when you coach any position, whether it's quarterback, receiver, you're looking at the strengths of your team, right? And whatever you can do each week to, take your strengths and put them at a higher level, and then take the team's weaknesses and put them at a, lower level. And so I think every week we go into it with a different mindset. Hey, maybe this will work versus this. Maybe that will work versus that. And obviously when you have players like Derek and Devontae and Darren and Demarcus Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and the guys we have on offense who work extremely hard to try and do things right. And that's exactly what you tell them on a Wednesday morning on an install meeting. That makes it a lot easier as a coach as you try and switch things up week to week.
Thank you.
Yep.
You mentioned much of the talk has been obviously the addition of Devontae, a room full of running backs, but let's face it, this offense isn't going to do much unless that offensive line, which was one of the least efficient last season, comes together. How are you seeing what you'd like to formulate and what you have as far as personnel? Yeah,
I think that goes back to competition that Coach talked about yesterday, right? So there's a multitude of spots, whether it's receiver, whether it's back, whether it's offensive line, that are working really hard to try and solidify their roles. Because at the end of the day, their role is what they make it. But that offensive line group, man, they're really buying in. They're really working really hard. You can see it. I mean, they're going against Bags these past few days, and they're coming off the ball with, great effort, great force, and they care, And I think at the end of the day, it relies on communication. So we talk every time about offense. What makes an offense great? Well, it can't start without communication, right? So especially for the offensive line, the right guard's got to talk to the right tackle. The center's got to get a call out. The left guard's got to talk to the left tackle. And I think the guys have really bought into doing that and solidifying themselves as a unit. Whether it's the first guy or the 15th guy on the roster, they're working really hard to do that. So I think it starts with communication first, and then obviously their effort's been extraordinary.
Is the communication is when you looked at last year's films and saw what some of the things that were causing mistakes or weaknesses, is that number one, is it fixable, but is communication, was that the top priority, or are there other things that you saw that need to be fixed?
Yeah, I don't really know what they were coaching. Last year I obviously wasn't here, but I know that a big thing that we preach on our offense here as we move forward is that communication. So that's what we're doing, and hopefully that will, I'm not really concerned with what they did last year. I'm just concerned with what we're trying to do the next day and moving forward as an offense here in 2022.
You've had some months now to work with Derek Carr on the field, in the classroom, meeting room. Anything that stood out, surprised you at all about Derek?
You just his willingness to work hard and accept anything, and do whatever necessary to help the team win. And I think that's been the case for not only him but for most of the guys in the offense. Showing up early, staying late, spend extra time with some extra people. whether it is helping, the running backs, the receivers, that's a quarterback's role. And I think not only Derek does that, but Jarrett Sidham, Nick Mullins, and even Chase Garbers, they've bought into being that role as a quarterback and saying, you know what, I have to take some ownership in what I'm doing every single day because all eyes are on me from that position.
Coach, having covered you both in San Francisco and now here with the Las Vegas Raiders, you were under a lot of coaching staffs, right?
Yeah.
Harbaugh, Tom Sula,
Sure was.
Kelly. How much of an advantage has that provided you now that you're the offensive coordinator of this new regime, and how much does that help you when you coached both offense and defense?
Yeah, it goes back to the previous question. With Jim Harbaugh, I coached on offense, and with Jim Thomas-Sula coached on defense, and then Chip back on offense. So, it goes back to not only coaching players from a technique standpoint, but also from a scheme standpoint. So, obviously, different schemes are run by different coaches, and we run Coach McDaniel's scheme here, as the Raiders system, and there may be different ideas, and week to week we may want to try new things, and that trying new things, it may come from something that, I've done before, or another coach on the other staff has done before. I don't only think it's me, but I think it's all the other coaches on the staff because they have a multitude of experience, whether it's Coach Kennedy or Coach Edgar. They've been in different systems as well. So I think that collective unit of, hey, saying, our way that we've done things in this system isn't the only way. We can try different things and do them because that's what's best for our team, and that can make us better.
Coach, you mentioned Jarrett Sidham. He's a guy who does know this system. How much does that help out there on the field, not only just for you guys, but also just for the other players around him?
Sure, I think it helps them. It gives them an advantage, but also at the end of the day, all these guys come in here and they had practice in the morning, they have a heavy installation in the evening, they have a walkthrough in the evening, and that installation, isn't the same as the ones he's had previous to New England. It's something that he has to learn that evening and study that night to really get. And obviously the operation stuff helps him, gives him some advantage, but how does he take advantage of that? Knowing that it's taking it to the next step of doing the extra things we talked about as a quarterback. The communication standpoint from the offensive line, that can start with the quarterback. So those little things that, not only assignment-based, but also from a big picture base are the things that I think any player with any experience in any system needs to really focus on.
The last couple of years, we've seen Josh McDaniels' offense kind of have to adapt pretty drastically, going from Tom Brady to Cam Newton and then Mac Jones last year. Kind of adaptability is a strength, I'm sure. But what would you say are kind of the core principles of just his offensive approach in general?
I think that's it. I think every single week, as not only offensive staff but defensive staff and special team staff, we're going to do what's best for the team to win that specific week. Whether it's run the ball more, throw the ball more, whatever it may be. But take advantage of something. But we have to make sure that we do the best thing for the team, not on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis in terms of opponent. Because we can't just go in there and say we're going to do one thing and that's going to be okay. We got to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the team and the organization by saying this is the best chance for us to win a game, whether it's X, Y, or Z, and do that every single week.
A couple more. Case, Adam?
Related to that same thing, I mean, you talk about all these, what it takes to win, you talk about all the great names that are on offense, of course, all the star players. How do you kind of balance making sure everybody gets involved enough and get enough of their targets, and also, hey, we've got all these guys to take advantage of too?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, we talk about mental toughness, right? And, doing the best thing for the team when it's not perfect for you. I think, each player in here wants to do one thing, and they want to win. They're not concerned about targets. They're not concerned about rushes. They want to win a game. They want to win a championship. And I think at the end of the day, if they come in here and work hard and accept that role and accept that challenge, which I think they all have, then everything should take care of itself, which I think is what they're all doing.
We've seen a lot of Derek around here, obviously, and what he can do. But I think, as Josh said yesterday, you're one play away from maybe Nick or Jarrett being the most important guy on the field. What can you say about each of them? What are their biggest strengths that stands out about each of those guys?
Jarrett and Nick? Yeah. First of all, those guys, I talked about Derek, those guys work so hard. They meet extra with Coach Hardigree on a daily basis, during special teams and whenever there's an opportunity to meet. And then they're meeting on their own. They're pushing each other. And I think that competition can bring out, the best in each one of them. I think, as opposed from physical attributes, but their mental attribute is something that we really enjoy coaching. And their eagerness to learn is something that I would think is one of their strengths.
All right. All set?
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
How y'all doing?
How you doing? Temple kid, man, good to have you here. First off, when Ngakwe got sent to Indy and you came here, How'd you find out, and what was your emotion there coming out to play for the Silver and Black?
Well, I was excited immediately just to get here and work with these guys, man, and play for an organization like this one here. Just excited. That was my emotion, man. And, I mean, I've been carrying that emotion since, that day and all the way till now. Just excited to be here, excited to work and get better, compete with these guys, learn from these guys, and just continue to elevate.
I know you've been in the league for a few years now, obviously, but you're still a pretty young player. What have been some of your biggest focus areas this past offseason going into training camp to improve for yourself personally?
First of all, learning the defense, learning different terminologies, and continuing to be better, footwork, and change of direction. All of the small things that, DBs are continuously, working on throughout your career. Continue to elevate and get better, sharpening my tools, just continue to get better overall as a player.
How do you feel like you're settling into that scheme change? I know this is the first time changing teams in your career so far. How have you adapted to the new scheme here?
I feel like I've adapted well. I mean, I feel like we're all still learning our coaches, learning the scheme, learning my teammates, learning different terminologies. I feel like we've all just continued to grow and continue to learn throughout this entire process.
Looking at your career, it seems like you've taken pretty good steps each year and shown that progress. But when you get traded, does that kind of put a chip on your shoulder? Does that kind of make you want to show that the Colts were wrong or something along those lines?
No, just like I said, my mentality since I started playing football has always been to just continue to get better, just to be better and better and better. So like if I was still in Indy or I'm here or wherever I'm at, my mentality is always gonna be to continue to elevate and get better. That's all. That's my chip. Just continue to get better.
Rock, last year, towards the end of the season, you guys with the Colts played the Raiders. What were your impressions of the Raider offense then, as opposed to what you've seen through the offseason and early days of camp?
Offense is just offense. I mean, it's different, but it's the same. I mean, you're gonna have 3 receivers or 4 receivers or 2 receivers, or it's all the same. It's not like offense is just offense to me. I look at it differently than how most people look at it.
If there was a team wrestling tournament, we know you finished first. Who would be second?
I'm not sure.
You would win though, right?
I'm not sure.
I know you said offense is just offense, but what stood out about this offense from you? You have a unique perspective from playing against them. What, as an outsider, what stood out about them before you came here?
The Raiders last year?
Yeah.
Just the guys. They got a lot of good players everywhere. Good quarterback, good O-line, good receivers, good tight ends, good running back. I mean, it's just a really good offense. A lot of good players.
Based on that last game last year for you as a Colt, I had to be one of the most humbling losses in your career. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back on the field and kind of flipping the narrative, so to speak.
Definitely, always whenever I'm on the field, I'm there to win. So I'm just trying to, come in, compete, learn, and just win. That's just my mentality, just win.
What are your thoughts on that secondary room that you're working in now?
A lot of good guys in our room, a lot of guys I can learn from, a lot of guys, great coaches. So, whatever role I'm put in, I'm just ready to, fall into that role and do that to the best of my ability.
You like the scheme and the fit? You feel like that you're a good fit for what they want to do?
I believe I am. I believe we all are. It's 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that can play these different roles, and I feel like it's coached really well, and guys are competing and learning fast, so it's good.
What kind of leadership has Deron Harmon brought to the room?
Deron's a great leader, amongst other leaders in our room. I feel like this room has a lot of different leaders in that room, and Deron is definitely one of them.
What have you seen out of Anthony, another newcomer, guy that's well known in the league at your positions? What have you seen out of him?
Just competitive, just competitive, fast, athletic, just like all the other guys in the room. This is a really, competitive room. A lot of guys always being sponges, trying to learn, competing every single day. You know what I mean? So it's good competing with him and learning from him and, being around him.
I guess.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rock.
All right.
Derek, I know it's just a couple days in, but the journeys began, and any early thoughts on especially learning a new offense and getting that all together with a bunch of new players?
Yeah, I thought we had some good retention from the offseason. I feel like we're stacking days, and it's nice being, I think we're the first team, one of the first teams in camp. So to get ahead, I love to work. So, and our team is built that way. We just want to get back to work, and to be able to do it like with our coaches and them holding us to a standard. It's been great, and so I'm excited for camp, and we're well underway now, and getting our fundamentals back right and all that stuff. So it's been good.
I saw you run a lap yesterday on an error that's kind of inevitable at this stage of the process. What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, just accountability. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. If it happens between two people, hit it. Like it doesn't. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. Like, let's go. And it's an accountability thing. It's a learning lesson, and because we can't beat ourselves. And obviously, yeah, like you said, those things happen, especially early. Young guys, it's different, but it's a great opportunity to say, hey, now let's work on it. Let's get better. And so just having that attitude, you can have a bad attitude about it, or you can just be like, hey, we gotta grow from it and get better. I think that's something that is one of the philosophies around here is that we're all in this thing together, and that's what we're gonna do.
Looks like there's a lot of player coaching going on the field as well. A lot of communication with you and the wide receivers, offensive line, and so forth. Yeah. You seen that as well?
Yes, I think one thing that's been really cool is we're taking a new system, and with the retention and with the hard work that everyone put in the offseason, now we're at a place where we're not just like everyone's quiet, just listening. Is that right? Like we all feel confident enough to be like, all right, now, hey, when you see it this way, we can talk. And you see a lot of the older players or just more established players that have, played more, just helping the younger guys. Like, hey, I'm doing it like this because of this reason, because this team does this, or things like that. So yeah, I mean those are good signs. Doesn't equal wins, but those are good signs that you'll have a good group.
Marcus Royal was out there today.
Yeah.
Not sure if you had a chance to talk to him, and if so, tough to talk to a UNLV guy.
No, I love Marcus. I've known Marcus for a long time. And even when he was all the way, I knew him before this, but even when I was coming out, he was in Tampa with Teddy. And I remember going out on a draft visit, and it was basically like hanging out with some family. I was in their room, they were installing their OTA stuff, and I was literally just hanging out with them, And so I've known him for a while. So him and I have kept in contact throughout the years, and I do root for him, except obviously for obvious reasons. But yeah, no, he's a really good guy. And then Nick is over there, Holtz. Nick's over there, so we got to talk about Nick and how much we love him, and it's been cool.
In the interview with, I think you were talking to Vic when you said, no one thinks anything of us. I know you're pretty
putting that one.
Internally motivated guy, but like collectively as a team, does it kind of light a fire to you guys?
I said it in like this tone, and now it's been taken to this.
I saw the full quote, so I know it was.
But you know how him and Paul like to do things. You know what I mean? They be doing crazy stuff, and so yeah. I mean, look, expectation. Who cares? Like nobody cares. Like at the end of the day, they could say you got all these. That crap don't matter. We have to go play the football games. You know what I'm saying? And that's honestly how I feel. I just got to be more honest. I just got to start speaking my mind. And as I'm getting older, I just say what I want to say, And so my real answer is the expectation, all that kind of stuff. Who says that? Honestly, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Whether they don't say anything or they say a lot, nobody cares. Hopefully they talk about us at the end. You know what I mean? But right now, that crap don't matter.
It doesn't matter, Derek. Why do you talk about it, and why do you?
Thank you, Paul. It's so good to see you. I say it because I'm a positive person, and I try and I try and encourage my teammates. There's a way that I say things to encourage my locker room, to maybe put a chip on their shoulder, and sometimes I do it too much, and so I don't appreciate your tone either. You can pump that back a little bit.
Oh, yeah. When you talked about the accountability and the laps, answering Vin's question, is that how important have you seen that with this regime in sort of that everybody sees that you're buying into that and everybody's starting from page one that everybody's equal?
Yeah, I mean we are, and if Devontae or Darren or Max, I'm thinking about the guys that re-sign Hunter. If they don't do it, then it's not a team game. You know what I mean? But that's not how we look at it. Everyone talks about like a certain handful of guys, and this is going to take a team effort to do what we want to do. And so for us, learning from mistakes, learning from, maybe we used to feel this way about a certain situation, but now it's, hey, this is a team thing. If I screwed up, if you screwed up, really doesn't matter. We're in this thing together. And I think what you're going to start seeing, and what we started seeing even in the offseason, if someone messed up, someone would join them. You'd start to see guys join them to let them know, like, hey, and talk to them on the way, hey, we got to clean this up. We're going to help you, all that. And that's what really helps teams. And it doesn't mean you're going to win everything, but it brings your team closer, which helps lead to those things.
Derek, when you talk about veteran players talking to younger players, a lot of times you were the only veteran players in some time, talking to a lot of younger players. How much of a change is it? Refreshing that there's a lot of veteran players on this team now that are talking veteran to veteran, and of course the veterans to the younger players.
I think the conversation just gets shorter. Like when I say, hey, verse this and this and this, I don't have to explain what this and this and this means. I can just say, hey, verse this and this, I want you to do it like this. Boom, got it, okay, thanks. And so we can move faster. I'm just trying to say it the right way. We can try and get on the same page quicker, and especially in a new system, trying to do it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you sense that this feels like a more veteran team?
I don't know like the ages and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like that people know football. I think one thing Dave and Josh have done is like they really care about smart football players, especially in the systems that we play in. You got to be super smart. It's not just run out there and just be better, athletically or something like that. It helps if you are, but you got to be smart. And I think that helps. I think it really helps when they communicate something that they can take it and then go do it from the meeting room to the field.
Hey, Derek from Fresno here. We're trying to pinpoint back home how you and Davante Adams first met. Do you remember when you guys first met or even played together, and what was your first impression?
I remember. I'm trying to think of the actual day. He may know easier than me. He's younger than me, but he may remember that day. I remember the first moment, like on the football field. I obviously remember talking to him a couple of times before that, but on the football field when he ran a certain route, and I was like, I went to Pat Hill. I was like, he's not going to be here 5 years. I remember saying that. I was like, we don't need to redshirt him. Let him play. And Pat was like, no, I'm going to let him grow, and which it ended up working out for him, obviously. But I just remember that moment of I would throw the routes to my guys that were playing in the game, and then I would tell Davante to go just to build that chemistry before we got to play, because you could just see that he was a special talent for sure.
How cool is it to see him now be this special talent, a wide receiver like him now playing with you? Do you feel more pressure, or do you feel like, you have a friend on the field?
Oh, no, I mean, there's pressure in our business all the time. But hopefully it's from what you put on yourself, You push yourself to be better and learn more and things like that. But, like, this will be, like, the first time, Tay has, he's got some guys around him that have executed at a high level statistically and things like that. And maybe it'll free some things up for him. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But there's no pressure. All the guys in there are so unselfish that I walked into a conversation, him and Hunter and Darren, all these guys are talking about, like, I don't care about this, let's just win. Like, they don't care. Like, more people, two of them are going off there, well, why is he not? That's the questions that's how it usually works, And so, to us, we're just trying to figure out a way to get better and to win football games.
Derek, the men's altar conference, I was there, very, very impressive. You're speaking, Hunter was there with you.
Yeah.
I know your faith is first and foremost. You talked about your dad being a big inspiration in your life.
That was.
I just wanted you to know that there were a lot of people with me that really took that in. And I've known Pastor Benny for years, Pastor Isaac, Pastor Stan Hicks. Those are great people. If you could kind of elaborate a little bit on what that faith does for you in the off season and then heading into football season, does it change at all?
No, I mean, I try and be the same person, and I try and be positive. Some people make it easier than others, but that's just part of it. Like I'm talking about in life in general for everybody. Like some days it's easier, some days it's harder, but no one's perfect. Like we're all trying our best, and I had a great role model in my dad to watch, and the way that he loved my mom. The way that he loved my brothers and me, and he's not a perfect man by any stretch. He'd be the first one to tell you, that he didn't do everything perfectly, but I had a good role model in him to show me, what it's supposed to look like as a husband, as a dad, and as a person. He said when you go into your workplace, it shouldn't change. Like your wife should know the same person at the workplace and the same person at home. You know what I mean? And so I just try and be that way. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more comfortable in that, just being the same person. And it's hard. It's not easy, but you just try and do it. But like you said, I had a great role model in my dad to show me.
For the first time in a few years, you have totally different quarterback room, different quarterbacks. Right? What stands out about each Nick, Jared, and Chase?
They're very talented guys, and they work extremely hard. And that one thing is they all get along. They all know we're all competing. We're all trying to fight to be the best quarterbacks we can be every day. But they're also we all also celebrate one another when it goes well. And I think that's really cool. And I've been around sometimes where that's not the case, where you could kind of, I'd sit and I'd watch, maybe a little strife and things like that. And that's just usually not healthy for the locker room. Quarterbacks, as long as we're like this, it's good for the team. And those guys have all been that way, and they can all throw it. They've all shown that they can, complete passes and do those things. So it's cool.
We've all talked about what Devontae, Hunter, Darren can do, but I wanted to know a little bit more about some of the newer guys on the wide receiver core, like Keelan Cole, Demarcus Robinson, Mac Hollins. Who's really stood out to you among those guys, and how, kind of physical it seems that the wide receiver core has really become?
Yeah, I think they've all flashed the talent that they possess and the reason that they're in the NFL. But I say one thing is they all put their head down and work. They don't say much. I've been around some more expressive groups. I've been around some quieter groups, and these guys, they're all ball. It's all football, and they're very professional about their business. The whole room is, and a lot of the guys that may not even get talked about that have flashed, and you're like, wow. I mean, this guy. Obviously, we got a good GM and head coach that have found talent, and they've brought them in to compete against each other. And all those guys, they're all flashing talent, and they're all showing those things. So it'll be a fun thing to watch as camp goes on for sure.
How much have you seen the growth of the offensive line since the end of last year to where it's at right now? They got a lot of burn as young guys.
Yeah, they're getting better. It's a different scheme. So that there's growing pains through the offseason of, okay, this technique or this how you want me to do this, and you watch that. But I mean, you can definitely tell that they're getting better. That whole room is working hard. I mean, when the second line challenges the first line, third, they're all interchanging. They're all working together, and you want them all. You know how football, the league has been. Lineman injuries, and you never know who has to play where. I mean, we've had 2 right tackles go down, guard goes to tackle, and you do this thing, and still got to win the game. And you're just watching those guys. Coach Carr and and Cam, they've done such an excellent job just pushing those guys in there. You see their growth. You see them getting better, which again doesn't mean anything yet. But you can tell that they're working at it, and it's still early. We got a lot of time before our first regular season game, so we'll see what happens then.
Hey Derek, last year was such a roller coaster season on and off the field. I'm wondering, with this whole reboot, new team president, new coaches, do you get a sense that the new stability will affect the product on the field?
I don't know. I mean, we all hope so, right? You hope it you get better. But last year was such a different situation, different coaches, different GM, different philosophies, all that kind of stuff. And now, we're into a new year, and it's nice that it's just been all football. For the most part, every time I've gotten up here, we're talking football, and that's what we want to get to anyway. And so, we got our new president. I talked to her. As soon as she got the job, I was in Tahoe. I talked to her on the phone and texted her, and great conversation. And she talked to the team and got to meet her that way. And it's been awesome. And you can definitely tell that Mr. Davis, he's doing everything he can to just push us in the right direction. And it's been cool because he's just trying to make it all football, And it's our job as players and as coaches, limit distractions and just come in. There's no formula to it. I mean, secret formula to it. We're going to come in here, and if we got to be attentive in the meetings. We got to take what we got and go out there, and hopefully by doing that, you go home and you have the right guys that you limit distractions from choices that you make when you leave.
Time for two more. Let's go Adam and then Kevin.
Sorry, my question was similar, but like, I think there was a time last year you might have even said that you wake up and just say, what today? Like, so many things were happening, like, what's gonna happen today? Are you past that? Like, are you waking up and saying, all right, today's a good day? Like, are you not having that anymore?
Yeah, I think we've had a good amount of time since all that went down. And I told you, like, I couldn't even like comprehend it at the time. Like, I'm a human person. Like, I didn't even get a chance really to feel all those emotions. And it kind of, after the season, you kind of like, man, it really, like one day it just hits you like, wow, dang, like more so the life transformations for families and the life loss and the careers that are done and all that stuff. I mean, the real life part of it hit you because it was so, as you all know, like it happened, we were right back here, like to play, you know what I mean? And so there's so much in your mind football-wise that you didn't even really get to comprehend it all. So that kind of, if I'm honest, after the season, I had a couple of those days where you think about them, you know, really in the summer and things like that. But then, like, since football and we've been talking and just grinding on the playbook and like that, it's just been all football, and that's been nice. We stand up here, all the questions, you know, football, this player, this scheme, the coach, this, it's been, you know, it's not like, how do you handle this? You know, like the hardest questions I've, you know, when we were moving to Las Vegas and we were still a year or two in Oakland, like, I'd stand up here and have to answer those questions and all these kind of stuff. And I'm glad that hopefully, like that stuff's just behind us.
They're entering your 9th season in the league. I know it's still early on, like you said, but is there any one thing that stands out about this team that makes them different, this team different? You know, that this is the team, obviously, besides adding big names and talent. Is there one thing that stands out so far that makes this team different?
It's so early. You know, again, when you're learning a new playbook, it's not like you have like that sixth sense of what's going on and with each person relation, you know, like me in the off season. But now as we're kind of in it, it's so early. But all I can say is that this is a close group, and that is evident from offense, defense, special teams. That is evident, and it's evident that again everyone's coming in with the right mindset, and that's going to give us a chance. It's not going to promise us anything, but it'll give us a chance to be competitive and try and win football games.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. Thanks.
You're just enjoying the air conditioning.
Yeah, right.
Chandler, I gotta start off September 18th. I know you're not supposed to look ahead, the old coach's cliche, one game at a time. September 18th is my birthday. My family's in Arizona. They're all coming up for the game. Cardinals, Raiders. Just take care of business, baby.
Hey, well, I do want to say happy early birthday. We'll definitely say that. How's that?
Great to have you in town.
Of course. How old would you turn?
The big 61.
61. Congratulations. That's huge. But if I do see you out there that game, I'll definitely wish you a happy birthday on the day of. I'll remember that too.
Well, there's a long way to go between now and then.
Of course.
You feel like you guys are putting the building blocks in place to be ready for that?
Just training camp in general. What I'm most excited about is the opportunity to be out here with my teammates, just gelling together, and that's what we're doing. I like having this training camp early, being out here early, just because we get a jump, we get a head start.
Chandler, 10 years in the league, come out for your 11th training camp. Feel like you're back in your youth football days? If you make a mistake, take a lap. You like that accountability?
Honestly, just being out on the field with these younger guys. I think I'm one of the oldest guys on the team now, and this is my first time ever saying that. So having the opportunity to take the field with these guys that are a lot younger than me, Max Crosby, just running around with those guys makes me feel young again, for sure. So,
does that rule though of having to run a lap if you make a mistake, the accountability? Do you sort of like that discipline, new regime, somewhat of a new faces on the team, everybody is equal starting from day one?
I think having accountability is very important. There should always be consequences to certain actions, especially if they're a negative action. So you should always be accountable for sure.
Speaking of young players, there's a young pass rusher, Malcolm Kuntz, kind of went through a red shirt year a little bit last year. Any first or early impressions of Malcolm?
I think everybody in that room are making a jump. Malcolm is a great friend of mine. I'm excited for him and his development, as well as everybody else in that room, for sure.
Chandler, Max said one of his favorite things about watching you over the years and now even working with you is that you do everything a little bit differently. He described your pass rushing style as unorthodox. When did you develop that? Has that always been part of it, or how'd that come about?
I thank Max for the compliments that he gives me, and I think I can go hand in hand with him. There's a lot of things that he does that I can't do, and there's a lot of things that he does at his age that I didn't know. But I think my unorthodox style, it comes from just a lot of self-scouting, just learning how my body moves and what it can and cannot do, and I try to utilize that because I know that it's very uncommon, it's unique, and guys can't game plan for it.
Chandler, you guys have a few defensive tackles out due to injuries from veteran guys. What are you seeing from some of the younger interior guys like Matthew Butler or Nero Farrell kind of taking advantage of that opportunity?
I feel like whenever you have a guy down or anyone out, it's always the next man up mentality. So I think that's what our team do a good job of, having a good depth and just having that mentality, the next guy up.
Chandler, kind of going back to Malcolm Kuntz, I know you guys are both New York guys. Does that kind of play a factor in kind of your relationship? Do you kind of see a little bit of him in yourself?
When I found out Malcolm was from New York, I lit up because, I was a young player from New York and, coming from the NFL, coming from New York going into the NFL, it's a very small percentile. I definitely do see myself just, coming from New York, and it's not a lot of New York football players, especially these days. So I definitely, give him a pat on the back for coming from New York and still being in the NFL because that's very rare.
Why do you think that is in terms of New York and football?
If I was a scout, I could tell you that answer, honestly, because I don't know. And Texas has, all the football players, right? So.
Jersey's got a good crew.
Got a good crew too. See, maybe you should start scouting.
Chandler, you talk about unorthodox and it's so tough to prepare for. I just wonder, it kind of struck me, that's what a lot of people say about your brother and his fighting style, that it's very tough to prepare for after people fight him. Like, I just didn't know where I was coming from, what he's doing. Have you guys kind of worked together, kind of developed that making it difficult style to prepare for?
It's two different sports, honestly. But as far as us being unorthodox, I think we both understand that it'll be very hard to prepare for something that's uncommon. You always have a guy go out there to kind of give you a look or to emulate the player that you're going against. But if that guy can't give you a good look, then how do you prepare for it? So I think we both understand that, and I think that's a huge advantage, for sure.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing? How you been? You good? You look sleepy. You got your hand on your...
I'm not sleeping.
Okay, you all right?
You and I were talking,
Yep.
right when you found out that you were going to the Raiders, right?
Mhm.
And when you think about understanding the gut of a player and the fire of a player, can you put into words what this personally means for you when you think about the opportunity here and the details of why you even ended up leaving Arizona?
Mhm. Well, having this opportunity is huge for me, honestly, as an individual. I know that the average span to play in this league is about 3 years, maybe over 3 years. The Raiders is a team it's a legendary team. I've always dreamed of playing, for the Raiders, and to have this opportunity, it wasn't much of a decision that I had to make, honestly. I became a free agent. I had the choice to go to any team in the NFL that I, wanted to, and the Raiders was the choice. So, and for Josh McDaniels to be the head coach, Pat Graham to be the defensive coordinator, it felt like right at home, and just have the opportunity to pair up with one of my best friends, Max. And I talk about Max all the time, but he pushes me every day. He pushes me. He was pushing me today, and I think that's going to definitely help me and help our team, for sure.
Chandler, at the Von Miller pass rush camp, I saw you working with Justin Houston. I think you're trying to get his Euro step move down.
Yeah.
Been able to master that in practice yet?
I haven't been able to master that. And Justin, he's definitely one of one. He's one of a kind. But I definitely did speak to him, and I spoke to a lot of the pass rushers. And I think any opportunity that I can get to up my game, to better my craft, I'm going to do it. And Justin Houston is a guy that has years and years of success. He's done it year in and year out, and I think he almost broke the sack record one year. So to get tips from him, it's great for me. It's definitely some notes that I took, but I haven't mastered his moves. No, I haven't.
What does it take for you get to the quarterback, but you also attack the ball? You I think 7 or 8 strip sacks last season. What does that take? What's that mentality? Have you started to kind of rub that off on the other guys around here?
Yeah, I know how rare it is to get a turnover, and I know how important it is for a team for the ball to be turned over. And if you look at the statistics, the teams that go into a game that have more turnovers or win the turnover margin, they usually win the game. When I was a younger player, and not to sit here and talk about myself, but you asked, when I was a younger player, I would get to the quarterback and just try to take him down. And then the older I got, I realized the importance of, hey, maybe try to get the ball out and take them down. And I've had a lot of success in that, and hopefully I can continue that here.
Chandler, I remember a report where Rex Ryan said at one point he was looking at drafting you, and then I remember he had said when you were first starting out your career that you really stood out and how he was trying to prepare for you. What's it like now working with Rob Ryan?
Man, it's funny because Rex is a coach that, we would always chat after games when I played for the Patriots. I would always say something and he would always say something to me. I haven't really spoke to Rex since, but Rob, man, he is incredible. He's seen a lot of great players, and just sitting in the room with him, hearing his stories, and just he gives me energy. And it's funny to say because he's a guy that's been around for a long time. But when I sit in that meeting room and I go and sit here and talk to him, he's a coach that loves football. He loves coaching, and you can see it just from sitting there talking to him. He gets excited, he gets giddy in his chair, and man, I love him. I love Rob, and it's a great opportunity to be one of his players for sure.
Chandler, you're obviously a vet in this league, but first year on this team. What kind of a leader is Denzel Perriman on the defensive side of the ball?
Denzel, he's definitely one of our main leaders. He's the heart of our defense. He's a guy that leads our team. I know I reached out to him when I first got here, and I mean, we gel just like that. And he's a great guy to be around. He's vocal. He's a physical player, and I'm a fan for sure.
I know you have a lot of new guys, but kind of the two biggest names that everyone recognized that came in this year were you and Devontae. I know you're not on separate sides of the ball and everything, but how much have you gotten to know him, and what's it like being a teammate with a guy already kind of considered an all-time great at his position?
Yeah, Devontae is incredible. And what I will say is that he is a very hard worker, and you know, a lot of times you get around guys that, you know, they have the accolades and they have the big name. You know, I feel like they get complacent, but not Devontae. He's a guy that he works hard. You know, if he messes up a drill, he'll do it again. And those are the characteristics that you need because, you know, there's a lot of people watching. There's young players behind him watching. You know, there's coaches watching. And he's a guy that he definitely works for the things that he does on Sundays. He works for that.
Any more questions? Got time for one or two more.
What did you think of Max Crosby's Madden rating? Do you give that any thought now as a vet in this league? And how about your own?
What was Max Crosby's Madden rating? I actually, so I didn't even know mine. I didn't look at the ratings this year. I had a few family members that told me I was pretty low, so I didn't even look at them. But I was top 10. I don't really pay too much of the Madden rating game. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Last one here. So Chandler, we got a follow-up from last time we talked to you. Have you introduced your teammates to Speedies? Do you have the Raiders Cafe cooking Speedies yet? Or was it...
You know what, that's a good question, and I remember that question. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Once we get our diets all figured out, we'll definitely try to figure out to implement some Speedies. Some lupo sauce. You got it. You know. Maybe I'll make you some. Yeah? I'll definitely make you some. February 20th. Oh, his birthday. Wait, when is your birthday?
May.
Oh, yeah, mine is February. I don't know who asked that. 27th, if you guys want to get me some Speedies. We're all set? Thank you, guys.
That's it for today.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.